is Jason Newland. This is Let Me Bore You to Sleep. Whisper Wednesday. Whisper, whisper, whisper Wednesday. That's a good jingle. I think it is. So, hello. I've woken up quite early today, and I decided to make this recording early in the morning. Now I realise you may be listening to this late at night or at night when you're sleeping, but this is the best time for me to actually make a whisper recording without being disturbed by neighbours, people shouting in the garden, or Vinny crunching on a bone or hassling me for something. This is just the most quietest period, hopefully. So those things don't normally matter on a regular recording, because Vinny's very much a part of my recordings, but on a whisper one, it's just everything just seems so much louder, you know. Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. I'm just going to go through some weird dreams I've just had. Literally just dreamt. Wow. I just dreamt that I was watching some boxing matches, but they were supposed to be kind of fun for charity kind of things, and I was asked if I wanted to participate, and I said no. I don't know why, but I did. Tyson Fury was involved. His brother, younger brother, was involved. But then at one point I went up to that's Ricky Hatton's son, and started chatting to him. And then I was having a conversation with someone else about hospices and talking about real life stuff, which was kind of strange, because there was a shortage of beds during the summer due to lack of funds and it's like, okay, but I was actually discussing this in the dream, all part of the same dream. And then there was a part where we were in this, I guess like an audience. I was at the front, and I had this collapsible heart thing that I could open up like a toy or something, and there was somebody in front of the audience, like someone talking to the audience, and I was sitting next to Tyson Fury, but there was other people in the audience that I knew, and this man who was at the front of the audience recognise everyone. But he had a really horrible voice. Well, just not to my particular liking, I guess, but really rough, kind of voice, and was not conducive to me relaxing. But at the same time, I refused because I just wasn't going to let someone else hypnotise me. And I watched as everyone else was kind of being affected, and then he just walks off the stage. And I look around me and I look back, and everyone pretty much has got their eyes closed, except a couple of people. Yes, strange dream, I think. And then there was another, near the end of the dream, Tyson Fury had just had an interview, and he finished the interview by saying, "Thank you, sir," and he was being very polite. And there was another part where there was upstairs, or it was a different section of the building, where this sporting event was going on, and then downstairs, I don't know why it felt like it was downstairs, there was a bunch of celebrities taking photographs with Tyson Fury. I think it was with Tyson Fury. But these celebrities, it was groups of people, like from TV shows and stuff like that. Ones that felt familiar or seemed familiar, but I couldn't quite place. Strange. Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other dreams I had. No, I didn't drift back into any of the older dreams. My little dream world. I'm sure there was I had a dream the other day. Actually, wait a minute, it wasn't a dream. I left my flat. This wasn't a dream, this actually really happened. I left my flat with my coat on, with my hat on, with all my lights on me, to make me, actually maybe it was during the day. So anyway, at least my hat and my coat. I leave my flat, lock the door, start to walk downstairs, and I realise I got my pink Crocs on, which is what I wear indoors. I forgot to put my outdoor shoes on. And I'm like, how can I forget to put my shoes on? What's going on? And I wonder if it's because I've added an extra thing, because I now put socks on. So there's an extra item of activity involved in that string of activities, that form of, what I'm used to doing. So normally I'd go into, this is the process before taking Vinny for a walk. I get up, depending on whether or not I'm wearing a jacket, like a coat, or I'm going to wear my cardigan when I go out. So let's pretend I'm wearing my cardigan and it's daytime. So I get up from either this chair or the sofa. I take off that cardigan and I put it onto the sofa. I then look over to see where my water is, my water bottle, which is either near the sofa or on this desk. Because I know that I'm going to have a drink of water before I leave the flat. I then go into the toilet, do a wee-wee, and then have a rinse and mouthwash. I don't know, just spray some deodorant on me, just so I don't completely stink bare. Although I don't think I stink. But just, add a little bit of regality, I suppose, a bit of royalty to me. And then I go into the bedroom. What do I do? I sit down on the bed. I put my socks on, because I don't wear socks indoors. There's something about the freedom of feet that I enjoy. And when I say freedom of feet, I'm not talking in a political way. I'm not going to be waving flags and protesting outside the Houses of Parliament. Free my feet. Nothing like that. Just, I like in the same way as I like to have some looseness with my body, to not be constricted by the clothing. Just to have freedom for my shoulders. And I feel the same way about my feet. Now I'm not comparing my shoulders with my feet. There's different parts of the body do different things. I can't rub my shoulders together. Not that I would want to, but I think it's probably because when I wear my socks, I'm using my feet to walk around. So when I get back, it's quite nice to just take the socks off and let my feet relax. And even if it's a bit cool and they feel a little bit colder than they did, I don't know, it feels healing-y, a little bit healing, just quite nice. I mean, the socks I've got are not tight. But at the same time, they need to be not too loose either, so they don't fall down. It's a bit like suspenders, isn't it? That's why you have a suspender belt, because one side if you was taller than the other. What was that other dream? Oh no, it wasn't. It was a real thing. So yeah, so I get onto the bed. I sit on the bed. This is going to depend upon whether or not I've got any clothes on. I mean, generally, if it's during the day, then I will have my tracksuit bottoms on, and I'll have a t-shirt and my cardigan, which I've already taken off. So I'll put my socks on. Which sock do I do first? I think I do my left foot first, and then my right foot. Or is it my right foot first and then my left foot? This is weird, I'd actually have to sit down on my bed and do it in order to know which one I put on first. Either way, I don't particularly like putting socks on. It's just I went a whole winter without any socks when I damaged my foot, and I kind of preferred it. A little bit chilly. Do need socks on in the winter really, but I find that although we do lose heat from our head, our feet and our toes, our hands and our feet, it's also quite nice to not, or in my opinion, for me anyway, to not trap that heat as well, to let it flow. Now normally I do when it comes to my head. I can't even talk about my head without visualising my bald patch. Or my extremely focused alopecia. I mean, it's not growing back. I've known 3 people with alopecia, and in all of those cases it did grow back, depending upon their, I think stress levels has a big impact sometimes on that stuff. But with me, it's just one part, which is the back. And I don't understand it. I know some people might say it's just called a bald patch, mate. Get over it, move on. It's easy for you to say. And it must have been, it was a simple sentence. Just move on, mate. I wouldn't have been complicated with it. Unless, of course, you spoke a different language, and that's the first time you've ever said a sentence in English. Then, well done. It was probably quite difficult. And here's a Mars bar. Go celebrate. I was watching Frasier yesterday, and they were in hospital, and this is Frasier and Frasier's dad. They were at the snack bar machine. They might call it a candy machine, I don't know. But I think Frasier's dad said, or it might have been Frasier, one of them anyway. It's not really relevant which one. writers of the show might have thought it was relevant, but I didn't really. I think either of them could have wanted or could have said the same thing. Anyway, one of them said, "Oh look, a marathon. A marathon." And this was in the late 2000s. No, this was in probably the late 90s, 2000s, early 2000s, or maybe 2000. So, marathon bar. See, oh, got you. Right. That's very strange. Anyway, so marathon bars is going on the day. Marathon bars only lasted on store shelves until 1981, even though no one knows the real reason Mars bought this candy variety. They just changed it to Snickers. I thought everyone knew that. Marathon bar, the candy bar that couldn't fit on the shelf. Well, the thing is, the original one, chocolate caramel. So yeah, the marathon bar in America is not the same as the marathon in the UK. It's a different. Maybe that's why they changed it, because it had the wrong name. So Snickers bar. Snickers bar, USA. Ah, got ya. So I think the Snickers bar has been around for a long time in America. In the UK they changed the Snickers because they called it marathon here. It may originate from America anyway, but they called it marathon. I don't know why. But from what I can see, the marathon bar in America was something completely different. And the Snickers has got nuts and stuff. The thing is, the way it was advertised, marathon, in the 80s at least, it was advertised by athletes, like Olympians, people that actually would, some of them were doing marathons. So it's kind of like an energy reuptake bar between training sessions, or so I think changing it from marathon to Snickers took away that opportunity for sports people to advertise it and to pretend it was somehow way healthy, I guess. But to be fair, if you're an Olympian athlete, everything you eat is going to be processed healthily in your body because you've got a healthy body. That's my full knowledge of anatomy there. I wonder if I've got any downloads today. Let's have a look. put my socks on. And then, before I continue, I just want to say a big thank you to Michael, or Mike. Thank you for your PayPal gift. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. I try and do a shout out to anyone that sends me a PayPal gift. I do post a thank you on my Facebook group, which is called Jason Newland's Boring Group. But thank you. So I'm putting my socks on. And I think my right foot's first. That's bugging me a little bit. Is it my right foot or my left foot? I think it's my right foot. Either way, Vinny is going a bit haywire. There's something about me, I don't know why, there's something about me sitting on the edge of the bed, putting on my socks. He flips. I guess it means one of two things to him. Either I'm going to take him out, but I'm going to be leaving the building with or without him. So if it's with him, he's happy. If it's without him, he's not so happy. So he's just waiting to find out what it is, I think. So he's watching me and he's jumping up at me and trying to grab my socks. I guess maybe just in case I'm planning to leave without him, if he gets my socks and hides my sock, then I can't leave. Maybe there's that, logic. No, I think I'll put my left sock on first. Then I put my right sock on. I guess that was the only option left, wasn't it? And providing I'm fully dressed at this point anyway, I will walk over to where I have my big cardigan. It's like a outside cardigan, really. I put that on, and that's hanging on one of my punch bag things. It's like a punch ball. So I put that on. I slip my shoes on. I think I possibly put my shoes on first. And yeah, my right foot's first there, and then my left foot. I think I'm going to be noticing this, aren't I, next time? Like in a few hours when I take the little one out. Is it left foot or right foot first? I'm not 100%, seriously. It's weird when I make these recordings first thing in the morning. I mean, sometimes I'm tired if I've not slept enough. For whatever reason, like if Vinny wakes me up way too early, which he did yesterday. But on a morning like this, 7:15, something like that. So I'm not tired, and I feel, I'm not quite sure I'm explaining it really. I feel different when I wake up. First of all, to how I feel when I go to bed, or even during the day. Because once I've had my breakfast, I have my morning medication, and then I have my evening medication. But I have my last meal, and it's not that I'm walking around groggy all the time, but it definitely dampens my thinking. And in some ways, which is why sometimes what I'll do is I'll have a nap and then I'll make a podcast during the day. Have a nap first, just so I can it's really weird, have a nap in order to wake myself up. Everything seems to just work a little bit better first thing in the morning. Especially when there's no distractions. No Vinny hassling me for another treat. No neighbour in the garden shouting for a dog to come. Which is fine, but don't do it. To be fair, it woke me up yesterday. Did it wake me up? It might not. It woke me up a couple of days ago, I think. Vinny woke me up yesterday. Usually I hear it when I'm already awake. But I'm thinking about other people who are in bed. They don't need to hear that. Like shouting, proper really loud shouting, sometimes over and over again for a few minutes. 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. You know, it's really early. It's not fair on the neighbours. I personally, doesn't really affect me most of the time. But then, people, whoever it is that does it, because there's quite a few dogs around there, quite a few people, it might be a different person every time. It's not. It might be. And I think it's just this area at night, that time in the morning, you can hear a snail fart. So it's very much, it's very echoey out there. Hey, that's what I might be like when I'm in my 90s. So it's not, for me it's not about disliking the person, sometimes it's just the behaviour. Sometimes just a little behaviour. It's like, okay, I'm not going to dislike someone just because they wake up the whole neighbourhood every single morning at 5 o'clock. I'm not going to dislike the person for that. I'm not. I don't. I'm sure he's a nice bloke. Anyway. Oh yes, I've got my shoes on. cardigan up, I make sure I tuck in my t-shirt into my tracksuit bottoms, and then I get the top of my tracksuit bottoms and I turn them over just to pull my tracksuit bottoms a little bit higher up. It's just something I've done for ages. It's part of my routine. And then I do up my cardigan. Yeah, do up my cardigan. And then I check how many poo bags I have in my right pocket of the cardigan, because this is kind of like my dog walking cardigan. If I've got, generally, I like to have more than two. Can you hear my stomach rumbling? Because it's nearly breakfast time. I think it's good to have more than two poo bags at any given time. I mean, Vinny doesn't normally do more than one at a time. One at a time, but one per walk. And he might do one in the morning, one in the evening, and that's fine, that's his normal routine. Occasionally he has to do a few more, but so two normally would cover me. The thing is, occasionally, it's happened to me, but also occasionally somebody'd ask me if I've got a spare bag, and I've done that with someone else. And it's handy to have quite a few bags, maybe 4 or 5. What amazes me, I don't know why it amazes me, but bearing in mind, as a dog owner, and this will go for all dog owners, one of the things we all have to do is pick up after our little doggies, or big doggies. And I don't know about any other, people that take their doggies for walks in public. It's not my favourite part of the day, picking up the poo. It's not my favourite part of the whole activity. I'm not sitting here watching TV thinking, oh, how long till I can pick up my next bit of dog poo. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I'm not that excited by it. However, it does need to be done, and it's the law. But regardless of the law, I would pick it up anyway, because I don't want to tread in it. So, and I don't want other people treading in it either. So it's just the right thing to do. Now I remember I forgot to bring some bags out altogether, and luckily I saw another dog walker that I speak to, and I said, can I borrow a poo bag? And she handed me this little black thing, flimsiest, cheapest, rubbishiest poo bag I've seen in my life. And over time I've seen a lot of so thin, and literally you pick up the poo, it's like there's no bag. Honestly, it's just, I'm surprised they don't find a way to make condoms out of this material, because you wouldn't even know you was wearing one. That's how thin and sensitive it is. Full of sensitivity. And very hard to open. Not that you can empty it. I'm talking about the poo bags now. But difficult to open as in, just opening it so you put your hand in, again, the poo bag, when it's empty. Because these little black bags are so flimsy and cheap. Really rubbish. And I see people in the middle of a storm or wind, gale, rain, standing there trying to open these flimsy little bags and being blown all over the place. Really struggling to open it. And I'm thinking, that shortcut financially, so spending £1 instead of £2 on some poo bags, is okay, it's saving you £1. But that awkwardness and distress and everything that comes with using really, I don't want to say crappy poo bags, but I guess that is the right word. It's not worth it just to save a few pence. Awful bags, absolutely. And that's another thing. When I go out, I'm prepared with my poo bags. Again, I see so many people struggling to open their poo bags, even the ones that have got decent poo bags. I've said the word poo, or the words poo bags quite a lot in this recording. And I discovered from my friend downstairs that used to do this, it'd be standing in the wind trying to open these bags. He always get, when I bought poo bags for Loki, I'd get the decent ones. And because Loki was a big dog, I think he realised he needed the decent bags, but I wouldn't get the crappy ones for him. And I kind of talked him into spending the extra money because it's worth it. I mean, those little black ones, just honestly, you wouldn't. I don't think I'd use them for anything. Not for anything. They're just, you'd expect it wouldn't hold a single thing. But it is way, if you had some loose change, I don't think you'd want to put it in these little black bags, these little poo bags. And I don't think you necessarily expect the money to still be in the bag, because it's so flimsy and just there. just end up working its way out through the bag. And you wouldn't put a fish in there, or tadpoles. I'm talking about the bags again, not condoms. You wouldn't put, because you know it wouldn't hold it. I did say tadpoles just so I could say condoms again. You're right. Oh no, I'm ashamed, it was silly. Blah, 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 blah. So what I did is I realised that the secret behind poo bags being a dog walker, or being the parent of a little doggy needing to go out in all weathers is preparation. Need to be prepared. So what I started doing is opening the bags and then turning them inside out and putting them in my pocket. So maybe do 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe, and put them inside my pocket, whether it's in my coat or whether it's in my cardigan. Or that's a point. Where do I put them? Yeah, if it's the summer and I've just got a shirt, I have them in my pocket. But I always have the poo bags in my right pocket, and I have these treats in my left pocket. It's the same in my cardigan. It's also the same in my coat. So the poo bags go in the right pocket of my coat, or the right pocket of my cardigan, or the right pocket of my tracksuit bottoms. And his treats, although I've run out but I need to get some more, his treats are in the left hand side pocket of my tracksuit bottoms. If all I'm doing is, if I'm not wearing a coat or a cardigan. It seems ages ago since I last walked around in just a shirt. But it's not really, is it? It's probably less than a month ago. August, I'd say. Maybe even September. It's now the 5th of November, which is bonfire night. Do you know about bonfire night? You don't know about bonfire night? If you're in the UK, you'll know about bonfire night. And you might have, if you're in another country, you may also know about it. Or you may have read about it, learnt about it in school, I don't know. So basically it's an annual celebration of a thwarted terrorist attack on the Houses of Parliament. Yeah, so that's it. It's Guy Fawkes planned to blow up the Houses of Parliament by putting, I might get this story a little bit wrong, okay? that's it really, he got in trouble. I mean, it didn't go to plan for him, so it didn't go off. I don't quite know what happened. I was never that interested to find out. So, as a celebration, I'm not quite sure how it became a celebration, but it's kind of traditional to have a bonfire with a guy being burnt, and we call it a guy, basically Guy Fawkes. So we're burning this terrorist. It's kind of weird really, you think about it, because this is something that children love to do. And it used to be a thing. I don't know if it's still a thing anymore. Where we'd make lifelike dummies and put it onto the bonfire, but not like a normal bonfire. I'm talking a big bonfire. So people that have their own gardens and maybe have a lot of stuff to get rid of, that would be almost like the bonfire of the year. I was going to say the bonfire of the vanities. I've never seen that movie. Bonfire of the Vanities. I didn't like the title. It seemed a little bit too potentially romantic, a bit soppy. Now, I might be wrong, but yeah, just the title didn't appeal to me. And then there was this other thing that we used to do, which was called penny for a guy. Was that guy for a penny? Penny for a guy. Penny guy. Penny for a guy. Something like that. And as kids we would make our own guy. So basically it was a stuffed clothing. It's a clothing stuffed with paper, because it was going to be burnt on the bonfire later on. And then it got to the point where lots of kids would make these up, and maybe they'd have it ended up like being like scarecrows really, but without the straw or the being stuck up on a scarecrow bit of wood in a field without any fields, or crows. I mean, you could argue it's nothing like a scarecrow then, but it's kind of the same principle as far as building, although I'd imagine scarecrows have a lot more thought put into them. With technology as it is, I'm guessing the scarecrows have been built, over centuries and improved in order to accommodate the various different types of birds that would migrate and decide to eat the food from the fields. So in order to discourage them, the scarecrow, it can't just be crows that were scaring away, unless it's supposed to be like a crow to scare other birds away. Maybe crows are scary and other birds don't like crows, which sounds a bit rude. What's a crow ever done to you? Why are you being... Why? I don't know. But I like to have my poo bags open, ready. So when I'm outside, I can just put my hand in it. Okay. I'm talking about the bag. Put my hand in the bag. It sounds weird if you put it in a sentence like that, doesn't it? So I like to be prepared, so when Vinny does a poo, I put my hand in it. In the bag. I pick up the poo and I, get rid of it. And I watch other people struggling to open their bags. And I'm just like, why? Why don't you just open them when you're at home? Stick them in your pocket. And then you're prepared. I think that's, they said that a thing about people that park, those that park go straight in headwards. The difference is between them and someone that backs into a parking space is the one that's backing into the parking space is thinking of the future, preparing for leaving, preparing for getting out of there. The person that's just driving straight into the parking space is thinking about now, what they're doing now. They're not thinking about after the event, when they have to leave. I don't know if that's true or not, it's just a psychological observation that I heard once. Apparently, according to, I don't know where was it on, I think I saw it yesterday, the police always do that. They learn just from their job that you always back into a space so that if you need to drive, you can get away, you can get to where you need to go as quick as possible. And it does make sense. I think backing into like a parking spot, or like I say a driveway, backing into a driveway, I would say is easier, maybe not easy, but easier than pulling out of a driveway backwards, because you're already on the road and you can indicate and tell people that you're going to back. But if you're backing onto a road, you can't see where the cars are coming. I mean, you literally really need somebody diverting the traffic for you. I reckon if I was a car driver, I would have to back onto the driveway just for that reason, because it makes things easier. The same as having the bags open, ready. There's a hero. So I've got my cardigan on. I've got my poo bags in my bag, in my pocket. I think the next thing I do, sometimes I spray deodorant on myself before I go. That's the last thing. I have some water, and then I go to the front door. Then I go to the front door, which is not, it's not a long journey. It's really not. And I just check in the mirror just to make sure I'm still beautiful. So now I put my hat on, my new hat. Then I get my key, my house key, put that in my pocket, my right pocket, in my trousers. I get Vinny's lead, and I bend down to put that on him, which is not always much fun on my back, to be honest, but hey, sometimes he'll just sit there, sometimes he'll just get excited or roll over, and it just, yeah. So eventually I managed to get the lead on him. Then I open the door, unlock the door, take the chain off, or take the chain off, then unlock the door. I go outside my front door, close the door, and lock it, make sure it's locked, and then I slowly make my way down stairs. Now I walk down the stairs slowly, and he's got a tendency of stopping and starting, almost like he's, I'm sure he's not intentionally trying to trip me up, but I have to keep an eye on him the whole time. That's why I didn't bother with the old, was it Halley's Comet last year? There's some kind of really big meteor shower. Or was it the blood moon? I don't know, it was some kind of big astronomic, wow. Astronomic. It's weird, isn't it? Because literally it was astronomic. But when we use the term astronomic, it usually describes big, doesn't it? It was an astronomic meal. It was a big meal. A sizable meal. An astronomic event. A large event. But actually, I've used it in the correct context. Astronomic event, as in meteorites or the moon or stars or space, things connected to astronomy. Anyway, the reason why I didn't bother watching Halley's Planet is because I'm too busy watching Vinny. I just miss it in the end. Although I remember I think it was 1999, I remember standing on top of the comedy club's roof with Gina. She was the manager there, and we were both watching the total eclipse of the sun, and we were looking through some special tinted glass things that got in a newspaper, so I knew that they'd be safe. And the whole area was full of people that came out of their offices and were on the roof. And this was in like London, East London, in the city. And it was like nice experience. Now I know, I remember. I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I remember. But I'm pretty certain that they had an episode of EastEnders with what's his name? Beale, the chip shop owner. So him and his wife at the time, or girlfriend at the time, went to Stonehenge. Ian Beale, that's it, sorry. Went to Stonehenge and watched the total eclipse, but there was a big adventure and different things happened, and I don't know if Phil Mitchell went as well. I can't remember. I just got this vague memory that this happened, and it's a long time ago, like a long time ago. Doesn't feel like a long time, although it doesn't feel like it was a short time either. A bit of a contradictory statement, I do understand. So yeah, once I'm outside the front door, I turn round, I close the door quietly, and I lock it. Yeah, that's it. I check it's locked and I leave. Walk downstairs. I've already done this bit, haven't I? Walk down the stairs. I go outside the front door, the communal door, and I make sure that door closes quietly. And then I go to the end of the path. I have to be careful. It's like crossing the road. When I go onto that path, there might be dogs coming. Not all dogs are friendly towards Vinny. So I look to the right, and then I look to the left, but there's a bush there, so I have to kind of try and look around the bush to make sure there's no dogs off the lead or any. It's weird, honestly. All that, and I know loads of people just have their dog on a loose lead, baby, and it'll be running on pavement, and the dog owner will not even be concerned about it. I kind of wish I could be more like that. I just don't seem to have the ability. And then we cross the road. I look right, then left, then right, left, probably 3 times. Just making sure there's no cars coming. And I say to Vinny, slowly, 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 in the hope that he will walk slowly, which he doesn't. And he basically pulls me to the park. If I had a skateboard, I wouldn't need to walk. He would pull me everywhere, except home. Crossing the same bit of road, coming home. He doesn't need to be told to walk slowly, because he does. Because he doesn't particularly want to come home. Anyway, I don't feel that I've really covered a huge amount of stuff in this recording. I'm not going to give it a title. I'm just going to Whisper Wednesday. But if I was going to give this a title, it would definitely be Poo Bags. Oh gentle with yourself. You deserve to feel safe. Lots of love.